Good night, everyone, and welcome to the second night of the How to Survive Computing series for the 2021-2022 freshers. Tonight, our topic is registration stress, and that will be covering things like how to register, the courses you'll be registering for, what those courses are like, and also extra things like electives that you can do with a computing degree, as well as minors and how to do them, many recommended minors, stuff like that. So you know how it is. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I have questions that you guys have asked before as well, so I will be working with those as well. But if you do have extra questions, you can leave them in the comments. I can see them and I will try my best to answer them if I can. Tonight is a special night because we will also be having a giveaway. So if you want to get the chance at winning credit, use the hashtag how to survive, and it will be a random choice between one of the winners. The more you comment, the more chances you have to win the prize. So comment away. Don't be stingy with your comments. You can leave your little jokes, tidbits, anything. Everything is as within reason is allowed. As you comment, we will be collecting your entries and seeing who might have the chance to win the credit. So be sure to interact and let me see who will win the credit today. We will jump right into it with our first topic. What first year courses do you do? And what are they like? So a computing student does, I believe it's five. Let me check. Yes, five first year courses. Usually you do computing comp 1126, that's introduction to computing 1. Comp 1127, that's introduction to computing 2. You win. Well, you haven't used the hashtag. You have to comment with the hashtag how to survive for you to be entered into the giveaway. So if you do not use the hashtag, you cannot get the prize. So ensure when you comment to use the hashtag so you will be entered. Back to this, as I was saying, yes. So your first year courses are Comp 1126, Comp 1127. Then you have Comp 1210, which is math for computing. Then Comp 1220, which is computing and society. Now, those courses, and then in your second semester, you have Comp 1161. Those courses will form your foundation for your future career in computing as you progress in the earlier years. If you don't do any of these courses or you miss out one, it is unlikely you'll be able to fully complete a course later on in your degree. So ensure that when you are registering, you register for all of those courses. Those courses are your core and they are very much important. If you do not do them, I repeat, if you do not do them, it is very possible that you will not be able to register for courses later on in your computing degree. Now, to go more into those courses, we have Comp 1126 and 1127. Those are your introductory courses. Those are where you'll be using Python, and they are both required to do 1161 in your second semester. Um, those courses, basically to go into it a little bit, those courses are basics. They start from the basic with 1126. You start off as if you have never touched coding before, and it is your introduction to Python and computer science in general and how to code and all of that stuff. So when you do 1126, that's more hand holding, more where you explore and can ask questions, and it's basic little topics and basic type of um, problems that they give you. Instead of big complex things, they start you off very, very basic. So with Comp 1126, it's where you can sort of feel out how you are with computing. You can get an idea of how it feels like to start a computing degree and what coding is like for you. Comp 1126 is usually not too hard to pass. you should be pretty okay if you work hard and everything. In terms of how the course is structured, Comp 1126 is is basically like, how do I say? It's labs. You do labs every single week. I did mention that with in last part. You have labs every single week. These labs are usually done on what we call HackerRank. It is a website that provides problems and then it marks it for you using test cases. So you'll get a problem. You need to write code that matches for every single test case and gives the exact answer they want for all your test cases, and then HackerRank marks them and you get your score, and that is half of your lab score. The next half will be marked in your actual lab session that you would go to. When you do go to your lab session, you are somewhat interviewed about your code. They will ask you about the decisions you made while coding, why certain things work, and they essentially have a rubric to mark you for to determine if you truly understand the topic that the lab is trying to question you on. So that's for 1126, and it is a similar thing when you move on to 1127. Comp 1127 is part two to your introductory course. So it's less hand holding. The problems get a bit harder. They get a bit more complex and require you to sort of flex your skills a little bit more than Comp 1126 does. The idea is that once you've done Comp 1126, you have the basics of coding down. And when you get to 27, you can use those basics to now solve more complex problems. So it's a similar thing where you have labs every week, and it's the same thing where you go to your lab sessions and whatever. The main difference is in Comp 1127, you will have a project to do towards the end of the semester. So you will have a big group, it's a group project, you have a group project to do, which is usually to challenge everything, all of your knowledge from September straight down to whenever you get the project. So the project will test the very limits of your knowledge for both courses. An important thing to note about registering for Comp 1126 and Comp 1127 is that they are both 6-week courses. So you do Comp 1126 for 6 weeks, which is half of the first semester, and then Comp 1127 for the next 6 weeks, which is the last half of the semester. So when you are registering, you will what is normal. You don't have to, but what we normally recommend you do is that you register Comp 1126 and 1127 for the same time slot. When you register for them in the same time slot, it will show that you have a clash, but because they don't happen in the same time, where the one is in the first 6 weeks and one is in the other 6 weeks, you won't actually have a clash. But on SAS, it will show up that you do have a clash, but don't worry about it. You don't actually have one. It's fine. So that's for 1126 and 1127. Comp 1210 is math for computing. I would say that math for computing is not particularly hard. The lecturer for it is usually who we affectionately call Kirk. He is a great lecturer. He makes sure you pass it. He makes sure you pass the subject. If you put in the effort, it's very likely you will survive math for computing, even if you're not that great at math. It entails things like logic. For those who do pure math, you know logic would be like truth tables and things like that. And I think integrated math does it too. So that's logic. You do some sets and things like that. It's not very hard, so you should be okay. So if you haven't done pure math before, you can ask your pure math friends for help, or computing students often do 1126 and 1127 with actuarial science students. So if you make any AXI friends, you can also ask them for help. They're usually very nice and they'll help you out with math if you're not too good at it. So that's that for math for computing. So yeah, that's just a little bit of advanced math for you. It's not the end of the world. I know not everybody is hot on math, but it's you have to do what you have to do. And then the next one is Comp 1220, which is Computing and Society. Comp 1220 is more along the lines of how does the things we do in computing affect the greater world? How can that shape the future, as well as how it has shaped the past? So Comp 1220 will get into things like the effect, how Microsoft started up, the effects it's had on the world, the competition between Microsoft and Apple, all of those things. Comp 1220 focuses on that. We go into the history of how computers started, back in ancient Egypt with ancient calculators and all of that stuff. That's what Comp 1220 really covers. It's not really anything heavy in terms of coursework during the course, but you do have a project, two projects actually, and they are both group projects. As I said last night, if you're in computing, you have to expect a lot of group projects. The first group project is a animation. You'll be doing it in a program called Alice. Not to worry, it is not frame by frame animation. It is animation done with coding, so it won't be horribly painful. But Alice is not the easiest program to deal with if your computer is not 100. I will warn you from now. So it is best to, when you do the course, before you get the animation project, download Alice and see how it runs on your machine, so you can ensure that um you can actually run it. It is a group project, so if you can't run Alice that well, it's up to you to communicate that with your group members, and they can give you something else to do that's not directly working in Alice. Like Alice is an animation software, basically. You'll learn about it when you get to Comp 1220. It's an animation software that uses object-oriented coding in sort of block format to do 3D animations. So yeah, if you will learn about it when you get there, even if you don't completely understand what I'm saying now, you will be guided somewhat on what Alice is and how you use it. So there's that. Um, then after you have those four courses, that's your first semester of required courses, because you still need your foundation courses and electives outside of these courses, but we'll get there in a minute. After that, in your second semester, you have, yes, it is spelled like the name. It's spelled ALICE, Alice. In your second semester, you will be doing Comp 1161. An important note is, if you do not pass 1126 and 1127, you cannot do 1161. So it is very important that you ensure that you pass 1126 and 1127 in your first semester, or you'll have to do it over in your second semester, and it will hold you back. Or it either hold you back, or you'll have to do summer school, which you will have to pay for, and that's extra money, which we are all trying to avoid. So ensure you pass 1126 and 1127, or else you will not be able to register for 1161. Comp 1161 is an introduction to object-oriented programming. You will learn about what that is and what that entails, and what of the concepts that go along with object-oriented programming. The language used in that is Java. So as I said last night, you don't use Java until your second semester. So when you're reading ahead and doing research and all of that stuff, I recommend that for now you focus on Python, since you will be doing Python in your first semester. All your first semester courses will be done in Python. So if you would like to read ahead, if you would like to go on YouTube from now over your summer or during September where the workload's a little lighter, I recommend you focus more on Python than you do to rush into Java. If you want to get a head start on Java, I recommend you do that over your Christmas break before second semester, rather than trying to do everything at once. Comp 1161 is not like Python, so you won't have it split in half. It is the full 12 weeks of the second semester. It is the similar to semester one in where you have labs every week. So you will be doing the same labs every week where you get a problem and then you have to do the problem. It's marked by HackerRank. And then you have a lab session where they will interview you and make sure you understand the concepts and go through it. That is in an online setting. So that's, I can speak on that. It changed this year to that format. Before, I know that you would have been for 1161, you would have to do the lab in your lab session while the lab techs are watching you do it. They changed that this year to accommodate the online space. So I'm not sure how much that will be affected in the event that the modality may change by second semester, but I'm telling you how it was for this year. So if anything, if it changes, hopefully you'll learn how to deal with that by then. So yeah, there's that. For 1161, you have another project to do. I'm sorry, I know it's a lot of projects and coursework, but it is necessary to get you prepared and knowledgeable about how to code. You will have a project, it's a big project. You will be exploring all the different concepts you learned in Java over a period of time. There are, I think, if I remember correctly, 3 parts to the project. It's a 3-part project. You'll be doing each one, and each one will build up on the other as you learn more and more concepts in object-oriented programming, specifically in Java. So that's a quick breakdown of the courses that you'll have to do. To give a quick summary on the exact breakdown of the courses, Comp 1126 and 1127 have a lecture, a lab, and 2 tutorials. Your tutorials are essentially in-depth look and a more interactive experience with what you learn in a lecture. So when you go to a tutorial, that's when you can more ask your questions, and you will have a tutor who is there to go over the concepts, and you can ask questions. You are given tutorial problems. They're not required, but it is recommended that you do them so that you know that you understand, and that when you go to your tutorial sessions, you can have questions to ask. Going to your tutorials can make the difference between an average student and a great student. So it is recommended that you go to your tutorials. One thing about tutorials is that when you register for them, you can register for a specific stream, but you're not necessarily held to that with your tutorials. You can probably jump between tutorials. If you can't make it to one session, you can choose to go to another session, and no one will really have a problem. Because as I said, your tutorials aren't really graded or anything like that, but they do help in ensuring that you understand the concepts completely. Um, for 1161, you will have a lecture, a lab, and 1 tutorial session. So when you move on to 1161, they sort of take off the training wheels and more leave you on your own. So as I said, it is important that you do your own reading, you read ahead, and you do your own research. Use YouTube and Google and all the resources at your disposal to ensure that you are ahead of the pack in terms of making sure your work is done. For Comp 1210, you have 1 lecture and 1 tutorial. So you will learn the concept, and then in tutorial, you might have a problem or two that goes over the concept in a practical sense. For 1220, you have a same as 1210, it's a lecture and a tutorial. Your lecture will go over the big concepts, and then your tutorial will have questions that sort of apply the concepts and reinforce what you've learned. So the next thing is my recommendations on registering for these courses. I will say that for your labs, this is one thing that I really want to stress, guys. For your labs, do not register. If you know you're not a great coder like that, if you know that you are new to it or you're not the most adept at it, do not register for a Monday lab. Don't do it. Don't do it. Your Monday is the first. You get your labs on the Sunday. Yeah, this on the Sunday at I think 12 a.m., which is basically still technically Monday. But yeah, you get your lab on Sunday at 12 a.m. And if you have a Monday session, that would mean that your lab that you got 12 a.m. is going to be due on that day. So if you know that Mondays are heavy for you, or Mondays are you're not so great a coder that you can do everything in one day, do not register for a Monday lab. Preferably register for Friday, where that way you'll have the entire week to do the lab, or sometime in the middle of the week if Friday doesn't really work for you. Um, in terms of, I see a lot of people asking me things like what lecturers you should register for and blah blah blah. The thing with first year and it's common in computing in second year too, is that there's like one lecture for a course. There's one lecturer for the course. So there's not really much in terms of choice when it comes to your lecturers. You just register for a lecturer and that's your lecturer at the end of the day. That's it. The where your choice comes in now is more with your tutors. Your tutors are the ones who will guide you through and will more get in depth, and that's where you have choice when it comes to computing. One big recommendation in the department is Matthew Stone. If you find out when his tutorial schedule is, I personally will recommend him too. He's a great tutor. Most people will talk about him. He's pretty good with tutoring, so I recommend him if you want a good tutor. That's not to say the other tutors aren't good. It's just that he is a big recommendation in the department amongst a lot of us. So, but if you don't go to Matthew Stone, you can still find a good tutor there. He's not the end all be all. So it's up to you to sort of, as I said, with your tutorials, you're not bound to the session that you registered for. And also when you register, there's a brief add and drop period that you can add and drop courses freely without much consequence. So test out your tutors, go to different sessions if you have to, and see which tutor works best for you, whose teaching style you prefer the most. So it's because maybe most of us think Matthew Stone is great and you don't particularly find him all that great. So it's up to you to really take it into your own hands and make sure that you search and figure out who is best for you. In terms of actually the actual process to registering, I could go over that right now. It's not a long process, but I will say that there are videos on the faculty's YouTube account. So if you want to learn more, and I think registration is August 9th. So if you want to learn more, there are videos on the faculty's guild committee's page right now that you can go watch. But I'll just do a brief rundown of what registering is like. When you register, you will have you go into SAS and you go to the section where you register and you pick courses to add and drop. And when you go in there, you select the courses for computing. When you go there, you find the entire list of every course offered by the department and you will select the course you're trying to apply for. So say for example, you're applying for Comp 1126, you would select that course. Once you select that course, there will be a list showing you every available time slot for lecture, lab, and both tutorials. You want to register for all of those at the same time. You don't register for your lab tutorials and lectures separately. Once you are registering for a course, you register for all of those at the same time. There's a check when registration is open at the left hand corner. You will see a checkbox. You just tick off the time slot you want. The days are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But for Thursday, to avoid confusion, it is labeled as R, in case you are wondering. There's also a column showing campus. Ensure that you do not choose time slots that are offered for West Jamaica campus. So if you look in the campus section, you see M or you see W, ensure that what you are registering for has an M under campus. So you are registering for Mona and not the West Jamaica campus. That's an important thing. Sometimes there are some common errors that happen when you register, like prerequisite errors. A prerequisite error means that you do not have the requirements to register for this thing. Usually you will get this if you are doing, say, a prelim year and you do not have the requirements to matriculate into the faculty. So that means that you can't do this course. You also get prerequisite errors if you try to do an elective or something that you do not have the requirements for. So you just cannot do it unless you do the course or whatever that is required to do that course later on. There are some other common errors that are gone over in the videos on how to register, and they're all gone over in extreme depth. So it's important. I really recommend to the people on here that you watch that video. I'll send the link in the group when I am done, because it's a very important video to watch. It goes over all your possible errors and sending requests for overrides and all of that stuff. So it's important that you watch that and learn how to register properly, because that is usually a very stressful and confusing time for most people. Next up, we have electives. Yes, we're going to be talking about electives now. This is an important thing. This is something that people ask me about a lot. Now, if you notice, if you're one of the attentive and astute, and I see some people in the comments that actually noticed already, the handbook tells you that you need 18 credits, 18 in-faculty credits. And for your first year, I believe you're supposed to have 24 in total. Let me make sure I don't give wrong information. So let me ensure, yes. For your first year, you should have 24 credits total, 18 of which should be in the faculty. If you are one of the astute, you would have noticed by now that computing only offers 15. So if you do all of the required courses, you still are a few credits short. This is where electives come in. Your electives are courses that aren't necessarily in your degree, required for you to get your degree, but they add credits to your degree overall. So your electives can come from in the department, outside the department, and even outside of the faculty. You're not necessarily bound to stay in your department when it comes to electives. All that is required of you, there's no real special process for registering for electives. You register for them like any other course that you'd have to do. It's just that you have to ensure that you have the prerequisites. So if you are doing a elective outside of the faculty, it is important that you read that faculty's handbook. So if you're going to social science, do say psychology, for example, or economics or whatever, go to the social science page and download the handbook and read and ensure that you have the prerequisites to do the elective you want to do. If you do not have the prerequisites, you will not be able to do them. For electives for first year, and someone asked, let me put up the comment, that the handbook says that there are 18 in-faculty credits required and only 15 are offered. So do the foundation courses count as in-faculty credits? No, they do not. Your foundation courses do not count in that 24 for the first year. Your in-faculty foundation courses do not count towards that. So you will have to make them up with things like with elective outside of your department, because computing doesn't offer any electives that you can do in first year. So you will have to go outside of the department to find that. And to educate you a little more on the possible electives you can do in the department, I brought along someone else who may know a little more. Jason Gale, he is the president of the Umona Computing Society. He's in third year, he's going into his third year now. So I brought him along to give you guys some recommendations for possible electives you can do. And when we talk about minors later, he will also give you some, recommendations on minors you can do. Let me just answer this question before I bring him on. Can you do all your foundation courses in your first year? Yes, you can. Your foundation courses are rather flexible in the fact that you can do them anytime you want, as long as you do them before graduation. But it is recommended that you get them over and done with in your first year, so you don't have that stress on you in your second and third year. So yeah, you can do all your foundation courses in your first year, and it is recommended that you do. An important thing to note is that LonGov and Carib Civ can both be replaced by a language. So if you do a modern language, one of the approved modern languages, and for SciTech, sign language is not considered one of the approved languages. So you cannot register for sign language. To replace them, you will have to do something like French, Spanish, Chinese, Japanese, one of those. A note for that too is that if you have done Spanish or French at the CAPE or CSEC level, you cannot do beginners Spanish and French. So you will be placed in one of the more advanced courses. So if you thought it would be an easy A just doing that, it's not necessarily so. So keep that in mind if you are replacing one of those with a language. But a lot of people do it. It is usually the popular choice because for doing a language, and languages are a good skill to have, especially in computing. So it's a good option. So that's that for foundation courses. We'll go more over that when we go into the planning your degree section. Do you have to do 3 electives to make up the other 9 credits? No, not necessarily. No. You want to do when you plan out your degree, usually when you have all of the computing things and your in faculty credits and your credits to do and your free electives, usually it works out. So yeah, there's that. So I'll bring on Jason now to recommend some electives to you guys. I'll pipe in if I have any opinions or whatever, but yeah. So here is Jason. Good night, Jason. How are you
Good night,
doing?
everyone. I'm Jason Gill, President of Human Economic Society. So, in first year, there are quite a lot of electives you can actually choose because UE doesn't actually restrict the course you can do as long as they have the requirements. So, you're interested in economics, you can do economics in your first year. If you're interested in statistics, you can do statistics, psychology, etc. So, I generally highly recommend most people for their in faculty credit because that's one many people have difficulty actually finding. It's to actually choose statistics 101, 1001, because that actually covers a lot of similar topics in Comp 1210, math for computing, that we're doing, such as probability, what's it was, random selections. Basically, the topics really go well together. If you're more interested in, like, say, UI design, you may be interested in psychology as well, because in this thinking of design, you would want to think of like what users would actually be looking for on the site. So by doing psychology, you actually learn a bit more of a thought process in what drives decisions and stuff. The most common electives that have been chosen in my year have been economics, because one, the barrier to entry is extremely low of economics. So you have Econ 1000, Econ 1001. Those are principles of economics. And if you also want just a free elective to be really easy to pass, you can also choose biochemistry or anti-doping in sports. Additionally, say you're actually really interested in like marine biology. I know there are people who actually do marine biology and computer science. The current current faculty representative, Terry McLean, he's doing marine biology and computer science, I believe. So if you're interested in marine biology, you can actually go that route as well. But in summary, I highly recommend Statistics 1001 because it meshes really well with your computing courses. If you want some course to make up your credits, you can choose economics, so Econ 1000, 1001. If you'd want to go further in statistics, you can do statistics minor by SOSI, because a lot of the courses there would actually mesh even better with computing, because as you go further in computing, you'll be getting deeper and deeper into statistics courses like AI, data science, all the fun stuff. So yeah, those are a few really great electives that you could actually use in your computing degree. If you have any questions about them, feel free to shoot them. Oh, Terry, you're muted.
Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, so also I the thing about stats is that it's very math inclined. So I weigh in a little bit for the people who aren't so hot on that, because I am not a huge fan of maths. I didn't do stats. With the in-faculty credits, as Jason said, like the anti-doping in sports is a good one if you aren't super duper math inclined. I did geography, human geography. That one, it's not an easy pass. Human geography is a little bit intensive, but it's an interesting course. If you are the type of person who is pretty alright with essays and stuff like that, you can do human geography. You can also do physical geography if you're not into the human side of things. But there's that math department. If you are math inclined, the math department is great for drawing electives. And if you did physics, physics tends to pair pretty well with computing, especially if you're going into the hardware end of things. Minors is the next thing, because this topic basically slides right into doing that. Your minor, a lot of people ask how you do a minor. Yes, Statistics 1001. The course code is exactly Stat 1001. So if you're looking for it, that's the course code for that. The for minors now, minors basically pair exactly with your electives. You declare your minor in second year. That's an important thing to know. You don't officially do your minor until second year, because that's when you declare it. Your first year is used to do the electives required to declare that minor, if you understand what I'm saying. So you need to say, if you are interested in doing a minor, you need to go to find the handbook for that faculty, or look if it's a minor within science, go to the SciTech handbook and find the minor you want to do, and look for the required first year courses to declare that minor. Usually minors are less intensive than if you're doing the actual major, so it's usually similar courses to the major, but they might take out a few courses here and there. The minors are, for minors, if you do a minor, let me put up the question, the exact question so you understand. If you do a minor and the minor makes up for the missing credits, you don't have to do electives, because the way you would go about declaring a minor is essentially just doing, it's more structured electives. So if you don't have a minor, you're free to choose whatever electives you want, as long as you have the prerequisites. It's fine. You just choose whatever you want as long as it fills in the credits. If you are doing a minor now, you'll still be doing electives yes, but it is more of a structured way to do those electives. So it's still the same thing as doing electives. It's just more structured, and it will add a little something to your degree when you finish. So you'll find that a lot of students in the faculty do minors because, as I said, most of the degrees offered in the faculty don't make up the 24 credits needed for first year. So most people just use those extra credits to complete a minor, and it makes you more attractive. Oh, my mic is breaking up. It may be my internet. Let me come here to close. So yes, so when you do a minor, it can make your degree look more attractive when you go out into the working world, and it also ensures that you maybe learn a little more and get a little more out of your degree. I'll bring back Jason on to speak about more about minors, but I'll give my recommendations first. If you're going into something like UI or UX design, or any type of design or anything like that, I highly recommend psychology or social psychology over in social sciences. That's what I'm doing because that's sort of the path I'm going down. I also recommend statistics. Jason will probably also mention that too. Statistics is really good if you want to get into, for example, data science or machine learning or AI or anything like that. Statistics is incredibly good for that. If you want to do sort of melding of like computer science and medicine or biology or stuff like that, degrees in the bio, looking for minors in bio are very good too. A popular one is economics. Financial technologies are a very popular thing in Jamaica. The jobs for it are very expensive. It's unlikely you'll be out of a job if you do something in financial tech. Oh, I'm still breaking up. Can you guys hear me a little clearer now? No? Hello? You guys, anybody hearing me? Oh no. Oh. Okay. In the meantime, while I sort out that situation, I will let Jason come on and speak more on the stuff.
Yeah. All right. So minors. So minors can actually really enhance your degree a lot. Personally, I highly recommend a statistics minor, as Tariq said, because I personally enjoy data science and machine learning. So if you are also interested in that area, you can actually pursue statistics minor. The social department, not social department, SOSI offers a really great statistics minor, and it's pretty manageable. Although if you're not careful at the start, it can be very difficult to get on board. So if you want to start that, first you start by taking your entry level statistics course and also math for SOSI 2 if you already have Cape Math. And from there on, you can take the level 2 statistics courses. But before I get there, when you're deciding a minor, it's best to like look at all the courses that you have to take for that minor and then start planning as early as possible. Because if you don't start planning for your minor in first year, it's very easy to not actually get through for your minor, because you may have to do some level 1 courses that you may miss out on doing, and then in year 2 you realize, oh, you missed this course. So to actually successfully get a minor, you actually have to do quite a bit of planning, even though you decide on it in second year. So that is one thing to keep in mind. So now for the minors. So it's really what you're interested in, to be honest. Like, it's not necessarily just to get a job in computing. Maybe you're interested in business. So managerial studies could be a good minor, because that could be a platform to you getting your MBA if you're interested in that aspect. if you're interested in digital media production, Carmack also has a pretty great minor in digital media production. I know it's pretty competitive, but if that's something you're interested in, you can actually look into the path for that. If you're interested in biology, geography, I know quite a few people in computing actually do, I think, geology and geography as minors. So you can actually look by the geography and geology department for those minors, because although they may not directly seem into computing, there are areas of computing that touch on geography and geography, like the GIS systems, geographic information systems. That's has it seems quite popular here. I know JPS hires for it. I know UE has an entire department associated with it. So if that's an area you're interested in, you can actually go into that. There's also electronics, which Orion can actually cover because it's also here. So I can actually hand over to him to speak more on that, because that's a pretty interesting major that the department offers. Ideal number of courses. Okay, so the ideal number would be 5 per semester. That's the most manageable for most people, I heard. So yeah. So I'll hand over to Rain now. Rain Green.
All right, hello everyone. I hope you can hear me well. My name is Oren Green. I'm the physics department representative. So physics encompasses electronics. So I can go through real quick for you. On what you'll need to do a minor in electronics. So to do a minor in electronics, you'll need the courses Math 1141, Math 1185, which I hope that you'll be doing. Phys 1411, Phys 1412. You will need to do ELET 1400 and ELET 1405, along with Phys 1421 and Phys 1422. With along with some other courses. So what you can do is just go into the FSD handbook and go down to the electronics section. Yeah. All right, and go down to the electronics to the physics section and go into the listings for the courses. So electronics basically encompasses you understanding the inner working of circuits, how they can be used to measure infrared light, how they can be used to measure radiation, different impulses of the body, of ambient surroundings and environmental changes, all those fun stuff. So electronics is what enables me to speak to you right now, for us to be using our earphones, our mics, our cameras, everything. So yeah, that's all you really need to do a minor in electronics. You'll just have to do some of those extra courses. So you'll have to do a few physics courses, which are, give me a second here. So you'll have to do physics 14. So you'll have to do physics 1411, which is basic mechanics, physics 1412, which is waves, optics, and thermodynamics. Mind you, I would highly advise that you either look up in a physics physics textbook or utilize the physics resource drive that we already that has textbooks regarding these topics, and give them a little skim, because this can be overwhelming if you've never done physics before. But as long as you keep your wits about you, you'll have great lecturers who will help you through and make sure that you get those A pluses, right? And you'll have to do electricity and magnetism, which is 1421, and 1422, which is modern physics, which is quite easy. Modern physics is like the whole the astronomy part, and the more abstract and theoretical parts, like what are photons and electrons and baryons, all those little things, right? So now I'm going to bring on a friend of mine, Kajay Page. She's actually doing the double major of electronics and computer science, and I would just like her to come to speak to you about how that dynamic works and how her experience has been so far.
Good night, all. My name is Kajay Page. I'm a third-year student who is currently pursuing a double major in electronics and computer science. Now, I know majority of you guys would like to know what the major is like. So since I'm doing a double major, I have two fields of study. The first one is electronics and the second one is computer science. So the electronics part of my degree, or the aspect of my degree, deals with how to manipulate and build integrated circuits, communication systems, and computer systems. And the computer science aspect deals with the practical issues and implemented computational systems in hardware and software. Now, what is my experience in this double major? I'm going to tell you something. Doing a double major is extremely hectic. It's really hectic because you're doing 2 degrees at the same time. You have to do a lot of courses. So time management is something that you really have to be hard on yourself on, because without that, you would struggle. I'm telling you, you would struggle. What am I supposed to do? Oh, so yeah, that's basically my experience. It's been really nice. It's been a really nice degree. It's going to be stressful, but it's really nice. Doing everything like electronics and computer science and understanding how both of them intertwine is really interesting. So yes, that's what I have to say.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Page. You look stunning. All right,
Thank you.
so the first year courses that you'll have to do to actually pursue this double major, or it is a double major. So it's actually categorized under our department as a special degree, seeing that you wouldn't have to actually be going about picking a minor in this one. So it's a complete combination and meshing of electronics and computer science. So there's no minor involved. So you'd be doing a full degree program with all of your course listed out for you. So there would be no trying to figure it out, trying to figure out which electives to do. Everything would be set in place for you. Speaking into the first year courses that you'll have to do, so you already have to do computer 1126, 1127, 1161. You'll also have to do 1220. So computer 1220, which is computing and society. The math courses, as I said before, and engineering course called ELNG 1101, which is physics for engineers. So don't freak out about the engineering course. It's more or less just a combination of those physics courses I was talking about before, so that you don't have to actually go about doing about 4 physics courses. You just do that one that basically encapsulates everything at one time for you. Going into the electronics part now. So so your first year electronics courses are going to be ELET 1500 and ELET 1405. Speaking from experience and from what I've noticed in my own department, ELET 1500, which is Introduction to Electronics, is very, I wouldn't want to say difficult, but it causes a lot of people difficulty. Yeah. It's very hard to grasp at first if you don't have a background in electronics. So as I said before, you can utilize our resources and look through the textbooks to get an understanding and a grasp, or at least a familiarity with the concepts that are going to be provided to you before you jump right in, because there's not going to be a lot of time to try and figure out and pick it apart, right? This course, however, is completely theoretical. So all of it is theory. So it's mostly lectures and tutorials. As an electronic student, at the same time as being a computer science student, you'll have to do practices in basic electronics, which is ELET 1405. That is the lab course. So that course is completely laboratory. When you go into the labs, you'll be asked to just start doing the work. You'll be provided a handbook with the instructions how to do the lab, and you will be expected to complete the lab and execute it well, knowing the basic understandings of electronics and circuitry from ELET 1500. So it's very important that you understand the electronic concepts that will be provided to you in ELET 1500 to implement them in ELET 1405, or else you'll find yourself in a bit of trouble, right? But you can do it. I've done it. Kajay has done it. A lot of other people have done it. You can excel and be one of the top tier people in physics doing this degree. Don't worry about it. I also want to quickly just add that you'll be doing courses like ELET 2405 and ELET 2415, which are courses that are going to require you to build devices in their completion. So, for example, this year we actually built a digital clock and we built a weather station. Neither of those tasks were easy. not in the slightest were they easy, but you do feel fulfilled in finishing those projects. So I would highly recommend that you, if you're going to do this degree, understand electronics, read into it. There's so much more. There are many YouTube channels like Circuit Bread, for example, and Crash Course, who go into detail explaining the physical and of electronic phenomenon. You have to understand it, or else you'll be left in trouble. However, there is the good side of being a part of physics. So here in physics, we are a family. So you'll be sure to find people who are likewise suffering, who are going to be there to help you and to guide you. And working together, you'll do very well. Trust me. Because if it wasn't for people like Paige and Will, I wouldn't have got the grades that I got this year. And there's no cheating or like getting around the concepts in physics. You have to learn them, especially for electronics. You have to learn them. So you will. All right, that's all from me. So thanks again.
I'm back on. Like, you guys, the practicals are no joke. Like, remember this the first time that we went in there? We didn't know anything to do. Like, if you don't read before time,
and we asked our lab instructors, okay, are we supposed to do this? The man is just like, me no know. Just
you are on your own. When it comes to electronics, you are on your own. Everything you have to read everything. I'm telling you, you see the books that they recommend, read it. Read it. Like, you have to be hard on yourself for electronics. I'm telling you, you have to have a strong mind. If you're going to go in there with a weak mindset, that's not it. You have to go in there with a strong mind. At the end, like, if it's still not work, present. You might get a little grade. Present.
Yeah. And it's a very fulfilling degree, because as you learn, when you start doing the electronics courses, you learn that the semiconductor device industry is one of the most lucrative industries out there. So having electronics in your degree can open doors that you might not have realized before.
And the next thing, you guys need to have teamwork. Teamwork is a must. I'm not saying that you should give everybody a code or give everybody a work, but teamwork is a must. You can't do this degree alone. I'm telling you, point blank. I thought I could have come in here and do this degree alone. I cannot.
Honestly.
I'm telling you, teamwork is a must. You have to have teamwork. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, that's basically
it's going to be a tough ride, but at the end of the day, it's going to be so fulfilling.
Like, you'll smile at the things that you make, and you'll just be like, "Oh, I can actually use this." Like, you'll want. And then the other application too is, after you learn how to build these things, you could go out and start your own manufacturing firm. You could make these simple devices and mass produce them and sell them for costs that they wouldn't be actually for very high costs, and actually make a good living off of it, like many people I see do today. So yeah. All right, thank you, Tariq.
All right, I'm back. Is everyone hearing me a little better now? Just say it in the comments, let me and confirm for me. Okay, I'm having a bit of a so I'm going to ask you to bear with me really quick. All right. Just checking again. Can you guys hear me better now? All right, all right. So we can get back to it. The next segment of this night we'll be having is planning your degree. Now, I highly recommend planning your degree. It's never a good idea to go into UE and not have a decent plan of what you want to do for the entirety of your degree. For first year, it's good to plan out too, especially if you intend on doing a minor. It is good to plan out the courses you'll be doing. The faculty provides a degree planner, which I will be going over in a minute, and that's where we go more in depth in things like how your credits are set up and foundation courses and all of that stuff. Will be reiterating that. So give me a minute so I can share that with you so we can go over what that looks like. Okay, so here we have the FST degree plan. This is what it looks like. Wait, hold on. Yes, everyone's seeing it, right? Well, it's minimized now, but were you seeing it before? Yes, no, maybe so. Well, I'll take the silence as an affirmative answer. So as you can see here, in the degree plan, it outlines all your credits for level 1, 2, and 3, and includes your foundation courses. So you can see it says here that your degree should have a minimum of 93 credits total. It is possible to go over this slightly, but usually you'll be within that ballpark. For level 1, you have to do 24 credits at the minimum, 18 of which will be in faculty. If you have a minor, it is possible that you may go over these credits, and sometimes if you just do free electives, you might take up some that are interesting to you and you might go a little bit over. That is okay as long as you don't overdo it. This is what the degree plan looks like. I'll just go over how to use it real quick. Here you can input your courses. You can put the course codes that you intend on doing in each semester here and the credits each course takes. And the degree plan has formulas in it, as you can see here, that will calculate all of that for you. At the top, you can see your total credits for your entire degree. So you can ensure that you are in that 93 you're in that 93 credit ballpark. So just for an example, you might have a semester that looks something like this, where you'll have Comp 1126. Excel is being weird. Okay, I'm sorry. I forgot to enable editing. So yes, you have to enable the editing for it first. And then when you have, then you have something like Comp 1126 in your first semester. Comp 1127 and Comp 1220 and Comp 1210. So then each of those are 3 credit courses. So you fill in those and you can see that it automatically updates with the, oh, you guys are not seeing it anymore. Hold on, let me reshare. Okay, you should be seeing it now. This is what it looks like if you weren't seeing before. Let me just go back over it real quick. This you can fill it in with your information, so you have and your ID number and all of that. It shows you the total number of credits you have to do. And here is where you would input the courses that you have to do. And here you input the credits. So let me add one more thing. Say, for example, that you decide you want to do, let's pick a foundation course. You want to do a foundation course. You want to do critical reading and writing in your first semester. You can add that here. That'll be Found 1014. That is a 3-credit course. So you'd have that there. Then you put in the 3, and it automatically updates with the credit values as you go up, so you can keep track of how many credits you would be doing for a semester. Say, and then in second semester, say you do 1161. That's 3 credits. You are keeping track of that, and you know that 18 for the semester so far. But we know that even though that covers 18, that's not 18 in faculty credits, because your foundation course does not count as an in faculty credit. Your Found 1014 is offered by the humanities department, so it is not considered an in faculty course. So don't fill this out and think you've finished the 18. This is where you might do something like let's start 1001. That is also 3 credits, so that now covers your 18 credits and 21 out of the 24 overall credits that you have to do. So if you notice, there's still one more thing left that you need to do, because so that would be usually most times it's 3 credits for a course, so that if you, as you can see here, we have 21 credits, so we still need one more thing to do. So this is where you may pick some random elective from out of the faculty that you may want to do. So highly recommended one is Psych 1000. It's not too hard. It's a pretty alright elective. I did it myself. Well, I'm doing a social psychology minor, so I did Psych 1001. So there we go. And that is 24 credits total. So that would be your first year. And then you can come down here when you reach next. And if you want to be one of the studious ones, you can start planning out your second semester from now. I mean, your second year from now and your third year from now. In fact, I personally recommend that you do read the handbook, go over and look through what you want to do, and see how your year will set up, because it's important that you know what courses you want to do, so that when you check the handbook and see prerequisites, you ensure that you have the prerequisites for that. Outside of doing free electives, it is important that if you're doing a minor, you do this. If you're doing free electives, you might be able to get away with not doing it because you're not completely worried about prerequisites. But if you are doing a minor, this is paramount. You need to plan your degree. Look through your handbook and check on the courses you need to do in first year, second year, and the third year, and put them into this. Ensure that you are keeping track of your courses, so that when you are ready to declare your minor next year, you are not missing a course. And when you are trying to graduate with your minor, you're not missing courses from the minor. This is also important for your major as well. Look at the handbook. If you're doing computer science, information technology, software engineering, or any of those things, it is important to note all your required courses. Please make sure you do all of the required courses, because when you get stuff, even like second year, there are required courses, and those required courses may not fill out all the credits you need, and the required courses aren't everything you can do in computing. There are other computing electives once you get to second and third year. So it's important you ensure you're keeping track of the fact that you've done your required courses. If you get to second year and third year and you have not done all of the required courses for the entire degree, you cannot graduate. You will have to do an extra year to complete all your required courses, or do a summer year, or do a summer term, which is where this side comes in, where you might want to put in a summer credit or two. for the summer term, you can choose to do it, or do it if you fail something. It's not the most popular option because you do have to pay extra for it, as I keep saying. But if you want to get certain courses out of the way before you do them, before you get into the official year, you can get that out of the way with a summer term. Or if you fail something, so you don't hold yourself back and have to do an extra year, you can try again in your summer term. But it is important to note that in the summer term, not every single course is offered. For example, this semester, 1161 was not offered in the summer outside of the exam. So sometimes they will only just offer a redo of the exam. It will be a different exam, but you can try to do an exam in the summer, and that will just go send you through with the 1161 credits. But that is not always the case. Sometimes the courses are not offered at all, or you may have failed coursework and there are issues with that. So one thing we say is it is important to avoid failing a course. Not to say that failure is a bad thing, it happens sometimes, but there's a possibility that if you do fail a course, you have to take it into mind that you may either have to do a summer course or do an extra year, depending on how that is set up. So that's an important thing to note. So that is what a degree plan looks like. The foundation courses, you would add that into the whole list of courses. Your foundation course will be included in all of that. But one thing with the foundation courses, I was asked to clarify with the languages. Let me get the course codes right. So if you see them, you know. For phone 1301 and phone 1101, that is Law and Govern Carib Civ, or Law and Governance and Carib Civilization for the full word. Those two, you can replace one of them with a language. I didn't say that before, but let me clarify. You can replace one of them with a language. So you can choose one and replace it with a language. If you replace one with a language, you'll have to do the other. So if you replace LonGov with a language, you have to do Carib Civ. And if you replace Carib Civ with a language, you have to do LonGov. You cannot replace phone 1014 with a language. You have to do critical reading and writing. It is a mandatory foundation course. It cannot be replaced. So ensure that you don't try to replace script with a language. To replace a foundation course with a language, you just do the language. You don't have to put in any requests or anything for that. You do the language and the credits would count towards doing a foundation course. So you can just do that. And I had said before that the Faculty of Science and Technology does not recognize sign language as a option to replace a foundation course. It's not considered a modern language in the faculty. So as much as sign language is a good skill to have, don't do it to replace a foundation course. You may want to do it as an elective, but don't do it thinking that it will replace your foundation course. If you want to do languages that replace your foundation courses, you'll have to pick from the modern languages offered by the humanities department. So check with the humanities handbook for more information on the languages you can do. But off the top of my head, I can say that they offer French, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese. I can say off the top of my head, those are there. They used to offer stuff like Haitian Voodoo, not Haitian Voodoo, Haitian Creole, and stuff like that. But it's best to stick with the things that are recognized as modern languages, the traditional stuff. Another thing I'll clarify is, as I said, if you have done Cape Spanish or Cape French or CSEC Spanish or CSEC French, you will have to do the advanced courses to that. So if you've done CSEC Spanish or CSEC French, you will be put into intermediate Spanish or intermediate French. If you have done it at Cape level, you'll be placed into advanced French or advanced Spanish. If you've never done them before, you'll be put in the introductory beginners course. So that will be beginners French and beginners Spanish. So that's important to note. I believe Korean is offered, yes, but it was offered in this year, but I am not sure if they'll be offering it again. So I can only really speak on the traditional languages that I'm sure of. But as I said, it's important to check with the handbook to see what language they are, as it does change from year to year. Sometimes if a course doesn't get enough support, the university may pull it. So that's why I'm saying that it's best to always reference your handbook. As much as I have these sessions and they're important, it is important to reference your handbook and check. So when the 2021-2022 handbook is officially released, check the humanities one for the languages they are offering this year. So that is important. So if you have any interest, and also when you're looking for a language, yeah, it's good to choose a language that you're interested in. I highly recommend it, because the thing about languages is that it can take up a good amount of space in your timetable. I think it's 6 hours out of your week for a language. So it's very important to pick a language that you are interested in and that you can tolerate dedicating time to. And to excel at languages, you have to put in some time. You can't just go to class, leave class, and that's it. You have to put in time if you're going to do a language. So it's important to note that. But I do very much recommend doing it, even if you're not using it to replace a foundation course. If you're not doing um, a minor in a language is a good recommendation, or doing electives in a language you're interested in. But if you're doing the electives, might as well just do the minor in the language. I know I'm probably going to get asked what languages I recommend if you're doing computing. So like obviously things like Chinese and Japanese are incredibly good for if you're doing computer science and information technology and stuff like that, because they are an important, a big chunk of the market when it comes to computing jobs. Spanish is also an incredibly good language to have, even outside of computing. If you're going into anything, Spanish is an incredibly good language to have. French is a little bit on the niche side, but it's not a bad language to have. But if I'm going to say my top three, I'd say Chinese, Japanese, and Spanish would be my top three in terms of the languages that I would say is good to do as a computer science student. So to kind of summarize some of the stuff, some important notes is in the computing department, you have information technology, computer science, software engineering, mobile application technologies. I want to clarify for the people doing software engineering or computer science or IT, the software mobile application technologies are not available for you to do as an elective. That is important. If you see a course code that has SWEN or SWEN or whatever, do not pick that. It is not available for you to do as a major. It is reserved for people doing the software engineering, mobile applications technology major. You cannot do it. So when you're registering, please don't pick those. Even if the course seems interesting to you, do not pick them, because you won't be able to do it. And if you include it in your degree plan, it might shorten you a few credits in your plan, and that's always a stressful thing to deal with. So when you're picking and when you're looking through the handbook, do not pick those. As I said, as I was saying before, all of the majors in the department all do the same first year courses. So as the physics people had mentioned, teamwork is incredibly important when doing this degree. You cannot do this degree alone. Make friends. You will see physics people, you will see AXI people in your classes. The courses are not courses you can do alone, and as I said, there's a lot of group work in computing. So when you're online, if you don't know your classmates, it's kind of hard to do group work because you're just picking random people, and sometimes that doesn't end well. I've heard a few horror stories. It doesn't always end well. So it's a good thing to get to know your classmates, have people that when you go in class and you look in that Blackboard list, you recognize a few names and stuff like that. that is an important thing that I want to really stress. You have the computing group there now. That's a way that you can get to know your classmates who is about. That we'll cover that in night 4 when we go into dealing with your social life at university, because it is just as important as your academic life. Um, in terms of, and again, I'd like to remind you, our registration opens on August 9th. Sometimes the system isn't completely up on the first day, so you don't have to rush as soon as registration happens. But it is important that you do register in a timely manner, because the limits for courses is not infinite. There's a cutoff point for the amount of people who can do a course or time slot. So when you go on SAS, you can look at time slots now. I think they should be up now. You can look at time slots, and even though it's not open yet, you can log in, look at the time slots, and sort of plan a timetable. This isn't high school anymore where they give you a timetable. Plan out your own timetable. Um, plan around the schedule that you want. If you know that you're not a morning person, do not, and I repeat, do not register for an 8 a.m. class. 8 a.m. in university is not the same as 8 a.m. in high school. It is much harder to deal with. Trust and believe. I personally do not recommend 8 a.m. classes, but if you are a morning person, you can probably do it. But 8 a.m. classes are not the easiest thing. Um, Evening classes are there, afternoon stuff. So if you know the type of person you are and the type of schedule you want to have, you do have some flexibility to do that. And as I said, with labs, it's best to do labs later on in the week, so you have that time to figure out and to work out any problems, to ask for help if you need it, and all that stuff. I recommend doing labs later on in the week. Your tutorials, that one I'd say is really up to you. Do your tutorials whenever you feel like. As I said, you can jump about and see which tutorial is best for you. And for your electives, I would say it's good to check the times that your electives are, because you don't want clashes. Some departments may have clashes within the degree that you can't avoid, but with computing, I don't think there is any real need for you to have a clash. I don't recommend having clashes, even if it's online. Please try to avoid clashes as much as possible. The system will not unallow you to have clashes, so it's not recommended that you do that. It won't prevent you from doing it, but it's not recommended that you do. If you do have a clash that you just can't get, say for example you're doing a minor and you have a course that clashes and you can't do anything about it, it's probably, well, in an online space, it's not too bad. You can watch recordings of one while you go to the after you go to the one, and whatever. So that's one thing with the online space that's helpful. If you do have a clash, you can watch back the recordings at a later date, but it is important that you schedule in that time, because if you just leave it up to whenever you feel like to watch recordings, they will pile up on you and you won't watch them in time. So that's an important thing. But yeah, I really recommend not having any clashes. Please try to avoid it. What's the maximum courses I've ever done in a semester? I did 5 in second semester, but that's not the maximum courses you can do. I think the maximum is 7. You can do up to 7 courses, but I don't recommend doing that. Do not stress out yourself like that. It's not easy. In the coming semester, me personally, I'll be doing 6 courses. And I said it last night, and I'm going to reiterate this again. This is a SciTech thing. When you go, if you have friends that are not in SciTech and you ask them about their schedule, you will not hear this at all. Because I think in society they get about 15 or 20 credits to do. We get, I think, 36 total. So it's our limit is, I think, 36 credits. So for SciTech, they expect that you're doing a lot more. So and the course load is heavy. Doing 6 courses is not something you do lightly. On a normal basis, you're probably doing 4 to 5 courses, but if you push yourself, you'll probably end up doing 6. And if you want to go crazy, I don't recommend doing it, but 7 courses may be possible. You would have to request course overrides to do 7, but it might happen, but please, I don't recommend it. Not just because you can means you should. I recommend sticking in that 4 to 5 range, especially in your first year. Don't go overboard on the electives and see this and that, and it looks pretty and shiny, and decide you want to go do it. Stick to a straight path. With the electives, another thing that I think is a good thing to do is have an idea of what you want to do with your degree. That will influence the electives you pick later on, and maybe the electives you pick now or the minor that you do. With computing, one thing I will say is that with computing, your job search or preparing for getting a job does not start when you've graduated. You have started preparing for a job now, right now. As soon as you register for university and decided to do computer science, you have started preparing to get a job. So it's important to think about what kind of things you want to do. If you want to make websites, if you want to do machine learning, you want to do user interface design, you want to make apps, any of those things, it's important that you have an idea of what exactly you want to do. And if you don't know exactly what you want to do, have some general interest that you are aiming towards, whether it's maybe like website and mobile app design or whatever, or whether it's UI design or any of those things. Do some research, look into the types of tracks that you can do with computer science, do some research and see what interests you, because that will influence the minors you might do or the electives that you can do. Because as much as we have made recommendations as to the minors that you can do, with a computing degree, you can do almost any minor and make something out of it, because computer science is basically a degree of creation and creativity. So whatever minor you do, as long as you can apply technology to it, it is a good minor. Like, for example, you could say mix linguistics and computer science and get into like text to speech, natural language processing, things like that. So it's important to have an idea of exactly what you want with your degree, what you want to do in the future, because computer science offers a lot of internships and stuff to people in second and third year, even before you graduate. So it's good to have knowledge in the field that you want to have. I am wrapping up soon, so if there are any questions that you have, guys, now is the time to drop them in these last few minutes. So I see I have a question here. For this semester, computer science students to do 11, 26, 27, 10, 20, and a foundation course. For the next semester, we do 1161 and electives or other foundation course for the 24 grades. Okay, for this, I will say, while that's not a bad spread, it's actually, if you want to, that's fine. But the thing about it is you're not held hard and fast to what you have to do in a semester and what you have to do next semester. So out in the handbook, they will tell you if a course is only offered in semester 1 or if it's only offered in semester 2. But usually a lot of courses are offered in both semesters. So it's really how you want to manage your degree. So if you want to do 1210 this semester and 1220 next semester, you can. If you want to do them both this semester, you can. If you want to do your foundation course next semester, you can. If you want to do it this semester, you can. It's up to you and what you want to do with your degree. If you want to do all your foundation courses in first year, I recommend doing at least one this semester or 1 or 2 this semester, and then you do one next semester. If you're doing your electives, I recommend, if you're doing minors, usually have at least two or three first year courses. So I'd recommend doing one this semester and maybe 2 next semester. Split, you should know. One thing is that the department does say that one thing they've noticed is that students who do 1210 tend to find to do the math for computing 1210 in first semester, tend to find it a little better than if they did it in second semester. So that's one thing, if you want to take that into account. That's a recommendation by the department. But your 1126 and 1127, those are only offered in the first semester. If you do it in the second semester, that is for a redo if you fail it, not if you want it, not by choice. That's if you fail it. So, but in 1126 and 27 are offered officially in the first semester, and 1161 is offered in the second semester. You cannot do 1161 before second semester because 1126 and 1127 are prerequisites for 1161. So you cannot do 1161 beforehand, but those are the only two things that I would say are hard and fast in terms of when you can do it. So you don't even have to do your foundation courses in first year. You can do them in second and third year. Some people do that. I wouldn't recommend it, but as I said, how you do your degree is up to you, and your personality and how you expect to learn and what you want out of your degree. Whether you're doing a double major or a minor, all of these things come into play when you're really deciding when you do your courses and what courses you do when. So if you know that you have, if you want to ease into university, you might want to not do certain courses this semester. If you want to just go in full speed ahead, you might want to do a lot of courses. So it's really up to you. I don't have any hard and fast thing to say on that. Are there any other questions before we get into the giveaway draw and then close off for the night? Any other questions before I close? Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions. So we will get into the credit draw for tonight to see who will get the prize for just being here. There will be more giveaways. Don't worry if you don't win tonight. There will be more coming in the other nights. So come out for those two. These will not be random draw. So I suggest reading up a little bit on some computer science trivia, some things about the department. Maybe there might be some stuff on that. So I would suggest looking up that stuff if you want to win the credit. But tonight is a random draw. So let us see who wins. And the winning entry is Ray and Clark. Ray and Clark, you are the winner of the credit. Can you tell me if you have digital or flow so I can prepare for that? My number is in the group. Could you contact me afterwards with whether or not you have digital or flow, and I will get the credit to you in, depending on which one you have, will determine on the timing you get your prize. But Ray and Clark, I hope she's still in here. You are the winner you are the tonight's giveaway winner. Did you sell? Okay, then you can get it quick and fast. Good. Yeah. So contact me afterwards. My number is in the group. So if you want to so I can get that credit to you. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. If you have any friends are doing computing and are a bit confused on how the registration goes or what the courses are like, then you can relay some of this information to them. I will be sending the video on the process of registering, the exact process of registering, so you guys are prepared for when registration opens and you're not sort of confused and wondering how to do it and it looking foreign and weird to you. It's a video by our past faculty president, Daniel Mullings. So you can look into that. And yeah, as I said, thank you for coming out. We have tomorrow night will be your academic life as a computing student. So we'll be going into we're going into the nitty-gritty of exactly how you can manage your academic life and how to really navigate these courses and how to balance everything, and more, it would be more on advice, more on a personal note for advice and stuff, rather than just the hard cold facts that we give here. So tomorrow night we'll go into more personal advice, like battling procrastination, organizing yourself, scheduling, and all of that stuff, and coping with stress, the UE experience, and all of that stuff. We'll be going into all of that tomorrow night. So please come out and view and learn more about that, because that's as much as important as the facts. Knowing what to prepare for is also good. So as usual, this will be available on the YouTube channel after I have closed. So if you want to come back to reference anything, you can just scrub through the live and see what you want to see, and check which parts you want to check up on. So it will be available. If you know someone who wasn't able to make it tonight, I will be sharing the link. You can share the link with them. Thank you guys for coming out, and good night.